Saving bones from broken homes. This is a podcast for musicians and artists alike. My name is Mark.
And I'm Renegade.
And we're going to talk with folks about anything from new releases to tour stories.
The good, the bad, and the worst. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, so here we are with Sir Brandon Walsh of Punk with a Camera. Tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay, my name's Brandon. I guess I'm 22 now, and I really like to make videos and keep myself occupied. I've been going around the country shooting bands for this tour and playing a lot of fun shows, and it's been nice to be away from home, but I'm really missing it at the same time.
Yeah, I hear that.
That's understandable. How long have you been active as Punk with a Camera?
I know I've been making videos since I was like 10, but I think like the actual name came when I was working at a Best Buy, and I would go to the Days and Days shows because at that time I think Rogue Taxidermy wasn't even like a year old. So they were still playing like 5 Houston shows a week or something like that, and it would just be like, okay, if you're not in your high school class, you're at work, and if you're not at work, you're trying to go to a show. And most of the times, if it wasn't a Houston local, it was Days and Days. And I don't know, one of the kids in that group or that scene like helped me come up with the name, because I'd always like show I'd always show up to the shows and I'd take photos, and nobody really knew me at the time, and I don't know, it was a really niche era of my, I guess, artwork at the time, because I didn't make videos. I would just show up and take live concert photos, and then someone told me that I was the Punk with the Camera. And
Hell yeah.
So what do you do outside of Punk with a Camera? Hobbies, anything?
I'm a full-time student. See, when I was 18, I graduated high school, and like a week later I was in college, and a year and a half after that I got my first degree, which wasn't anything super real. I just wanted a piece of paper because I knew that I was going to go to a state college, and I was like, okay, if I go to community, I'll save like, so many thousands of dollars. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, maybe I should get a piece of paper for this wait time. And so I got that right before I turned 21, and I'm 22 now, and I'm going to school to be an accountant. I hope I never use it, but
That's a good fallback, though.
Yeah, no, that's the plan.
People always need accountants.
Yeah, so my hope is, if I do get this degree, and if I ever do need it, I don't use it that much, and I can keep touring. But that's like mainly what I spend a lot of my time with. And outside of that, I've recently been dabbling in running a distribution setup for bands, because I've seen so many, you meet a lot of people in the industry that you look up to, and you just find out that they suck. And so I met that with a lot of different promoters and bookers and people who did merchandise, and I was like, man, there are so many bands getting used for their shit, and it sucks so hard. So I was saving up for a Red at the time, which
or the camera. Those things are awesome.
Yeah, and I eventually did purchase an older Red Scarlet, but right before the first time that I had an opportunity to purchase one, I saw a screen printing setup for like really cheap. I used to corral Craigslist, because in high school the way that I'd make all my money was I would sell music equipment, because I lived in a city north of Houston that had, I don't know, like a wealthy community, so their kids would, either go to college or get kicked out, and they'd leave these like drum sets and stuff like
nice
that.
Gear. Yep.
And these upper middle class families could not care about making a profit on them. They just wanted their space back. So in high school, I would make money by going to these like garage sales and stuff like that, and looking through all the classified ads, and I got really good at it. I'm not gonna lie, like that's how I funded a lot of things for a while. And fast forward like 3.5 years, I would still keep my eyes on the Craigslist stuff, and I wouldn't do it as intensely, or like try to flip a bunch of drum sets in a weekend or something like that. But I saw a really nice screen printing setup, and it was the same kind of thing where it was like, this person obviously is underselling it because it's taking up space, or they don't need it anymore, or it's not what they wanted. And sure enough, this guy owned a sign shop, and he like straight up, he apparently put the golden wrap on the Mars rover through his sign shop. Yeah.
What?
What the
Yeah,
hell?
and I mean that's at least what he claimed. I wouldn't doubt him because we were in Houston, and that's where it launched from.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, like this single job made me $20,000, and this other T-shirt job that takes 4.5 hours made me $300. Like I'd rather work for 20 minutes and make 20 grand.
Yeah.
So he sold it to me, and I lied to him a little bit. I was like, oh, I only have $1,400, so like I'll bring my dad up there, which was going to be the case because I didn't own a truck or anything, and I kind of like talked him down from $2,000, but I picked up for $1,400, which is money I was saving for a red.
That's awesome.
I picked up like a big flash unit, a conveyor dryer, which was the main reason why I wanted to buy it, because those conveyor dryers make screen printing like a snap.
That's where you print it with the big arms, and then you set down the conveyor and it goes through and dries it before, so you don't have to like sit there and wait for.
Yeah, because the other item I got was a flash dryer. Is that you normally you'd put your pass through, and then you'd wait like 30 seconds to a minute for it to fully cure the ink. Well, this like you do your one pass, like let it cure, and then just throw it on the rack, and boom, it's done.
That is awesome.
That's
So like,
cool.
and then it was like screens and inks and equipment, and I was like, all right, $1,400. This is probably like $5,000 worth of screen printing equipment. Let's go buy it. And
Hell yeah.
And
Done.
my dad, who I'll say this to everybody: any artist who is any level of remotely successful they probably have some level of amazing roots or something holding them up. And my dad's always believed in me. He's given me, the place that we record in is a building on his property that he's just like, all right, you can live in here, I guess, and you can do your music stuff, and I don't care, So chops to all those kids who actually like get out there, made it, and didn't have that base, because honestly, the amount of people who I know who are successful wouldn't be without that base.
Yeah.
But we have an acre of property which y'all came out to and y'all recorded. In New Caney, Texas, and everything we have on there we built by our own hands. All the buildings, all the
That's awesome.
shops, and there was the only building we didn't build was what I'm now using for the distro, and it was when subdivisions get built in large quantities in Texas, they usually put like a little, not exactly a half wide trailer, but like a small little office space, and we bought it in auction, and then we extended it, and then it was a shed, and then it was an apartment, and then it was all these other things, and we just kept changing it around.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, Dad, this guy said he'd take $1,400 for this screen printing setup. It's something I've kind of been wanting to try to get into so I can make my own merchandise and go on tour, and it would cost me less money to make shirts. Like, how would you feel if I renovated the shop and I ran the electrical and I paid for all the things? Like, can I use this shed that you're storing your garage, your basically your lawnmower and extra storage in? He goes, yeah, I guess we can do that, and you just gotta help me build a new thing for my lawnmower.
What a deal.
That's a deal. Yeah.
So that's actually when we made our Patreon, and that for the next year up until our first U.S. tour, that's all we did. And it was super cool.
Okay. Do you have any do you have any animal friends, and what are their names?
Yeah. So the only animal that I personally own is a ball python. I don't know if I got to show you it, but I have a ball python named Slash.
That's cool.
11 years old. I believe it's a female because it's very large for its size and it's very docile, but I don't know if you know this about reptiles, but to tell gender in a lot of reptiles, you have to invasively prod them to find out if it's a male or female.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like crocodiles and snakes are the same way. You basically, I don't know if it's a urethra-like hole or if it's their butt, but there's basically, you stick your finger up this orifice, and if it's stubbly, if there's like something blocking your path, it's a male. And if not, it's a female. And I was like, I'm not gonna invade my pet snake
That's
this
very
way.
kind of you.
Yeah.
But by guessing, by the way its behavior is and how quickly it's grown, because it's a very large snake for a ball python. Those are tiny snakes, and it's almost 5 foot.
Oh wow.
Crap.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's my main animal. I had a dog that I grew up with. She was a little fox terrier and a fighter, and she lived to be 19 before we put her down. But besides that, not really. Dogs in and out, and I met many dogs on the road, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
All the dog friends. Craziest tour story. The most crazy thing that's happened for you on the road in general. This tour, any other tour, anything. Craziest thing.
Yeah, it was the second day of tour on our first U.S. tour in Orlando. And I'll never go back to Florida because of it. I fucking hate Florida.
It was that bad.
Yeah, and I was actually just in LA with Katie from Spudbugs and Trevor and Gio, and Gio's like, we'll just do a 3-way tour and we'll start in Florida. And I'm like, no fucking way, dude. I'm never going back to Florida. No. Basically, we play the Coffins print shop, I think, which it was like a really cool little house out there, and the guy ran a print shop, and that's actually one of the people I was talking to when I first wanted to do the distro. I first started getting into it, starting in like Insight and stuff. But that's not where the story begins. The story begins after the show. Where all good stories start, you're exhausted, you're sweaty, you're fucking done. You're like, okay, we get to sleep for 4 hours because these people have to go to work at 7 a.m. And of course, someone is over who wants to fucking party and hang out. And you're just like,
every time.
Yeah. You're just like, I don't know if I want to be disrespectful because this is someone's house and they could kick me out for being a dick. But I've actually learned, like, through touring, be a dick. Trust me. Just be a dick. Tell them to shut the fuck up or get out. Because your health and your sanity and your sleep are more important than, the feelings of someone else in a lot of cases. So if someone's drunk and belligerent, tell them they need to fucking get an Uber.
Go to bed. You're drunk.
Get an Uber, go to bed. Yeah, get out of here, homie. But basically, this dude was like just like wanting to hang out and party, and he kept giving people weed, kept giving beers and stuff. And like I didn't care because like I was just, you know what, I'm gonna find my little corner, I'm gonna die, it's gonna be great. And I think I was with the Unity Rise kids, and they were just like having a party, and they were singing songs, and they were doing their thing like they do late into the shows. Because I think one person could sleep through the static, and the other people would party all night. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, why can't I sleep like that? But the winding hours of 4 a.m. come across, and so they're finally like, okay, yeah, we want to go to bed, so you gotta either be very quiet or get out of here. And we tried doing the sleep thing for a little bit, but he was still like being rowdy and stuff. Yeah. And then we were like, okay, let's just put him outside. And sure enough, they were, I think it was Missy and Dent were like, okay, you gotta go outside, we'll call you an Uber, like wherever you gotta be, you can be, but you can't be here. Fucking Semisonic's closing time is playing, and you gotta get the fuck out of my MTV cribs. And so that was I thought that would be it, but sure enough, he starts knocking on the door. He's like, I left my weed in there. And I said, okay, come get it. But that was a bad mistake, because him coming back in turned into conversations and everything else. And eventually they were like, okay, you got to go again.
You got to leave, man.
You got to get out of here. And then he started getting kind of like aggro. He's like, what? Y'all took all my weed. Where's my weed at? I don't know where my phone's at. And then like he left for a bit, and he stood outside of this red car for like 45 minutes because our friend was watching him. He's like, why is he just standing there? And he came right back up. He's like, I don't know where my friend's at. Is my friend in there? Can you call my phone? Where's my weed? And it just like kept going back and forth and back and forth. And the dude's like very, very, very cross-faded, belligerently drunk.
Yeah.
And, like me, I'm sitting in the back. I'm quiet the whole time. I'm just like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I just want to go to bed. There's an 8-hour drive tomorrow in fucking Florida, and we have to be gone because these people who live here fucking go to work at 7 a.m. who are also awake and upset. And who the fuck is this drunk dude just making a scene? So eventually, like, I think it was Missy and Dent. I'd never seen someone so quickly take off their shirt and put on a shirt they didn't like care if it got ripped up. They're like, all right, we asked you nicely. You keep knocking on the door. You keep being a rude ass motherfucker. And they're like, okay, they put him out. And I think Missy or Dent gets punched. And then like he starts running down the hill, and they're like chasing after him, and they're just going like crazy. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's 3 a.m. We're in the middle of Florida. I am so exhausted. Like we just flew out. We played a long ass show, and this drunk dude is punching Missy, and they're running around. Well, apparently he ran into a Waffle House, which was right down the road, and an off-duty cop like came across and just like saw him, and he threw another swing at Missy. And
in front of the cop.
Yeah,
too.
in front
Oh
of the
my
cop. So he
God.
gets arrested. And the best part was about 5 hours prior, my nice ass, because I've learned to be an asshole over time, like let him take extra T-shirts because he's like, I totally paid for this. He didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
And he like left that and his weed and all the other things, which it was ridiculous. And we're just sitting there just like, is this Florida? I never want to come back. What the fuck was that?
Oh my God, that kind of reminds me of like, you ever heard that whole Florida man thing? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Boy,
to
do
make
I
a
know
joke.
Florida man.
Okay, but I thought that was so funny. Mine was really depressing and not funny. It was something about like, I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe lighting some lady on fire or something like that. It was really bad. It was
What?
really fucking bad.
You
It
lit a
wasn't
lady
good.
on
It was
fire?
like, this isn't funny.
I'm
Like everybody
feeling
else's
bad
is
about-
hilarious, and mine's fucking some like dude murders some lady. Oh my God. But yeah, most of them are hilarious though. Like she's sitting over here cracking
just-
up, like, oh. No, it seriously was really depressing. I was like, fuck, man, everybody's just so funny, and like that one was not funny at all. But
I feel terrible for kicking this drunk guy out, but you lit a lady on
oh
fire.
no! This was like I didn't light the lady on fire. Some fucking
You
crackhead
gotta
on my
specify
birthday did
these
it.
things,
Some
okay?
crackhead on my birthday did it. I didn't do it.
Robert's Roots gets wild on tour, I
Yeah,
guess. God damn.
Watch out.
Okay, I got a good question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any paranormal stories, like anything ghostly or UFO or like anything in the
Bigfoot?
world that's
Yeah.
just strange? We want to hear it.
I got two. First one was just really weird. It was just like, I think I was walking from the shop on my property back to my room, and I saw like 2 F-16s flying over, and there's airport space behind me. But I swear to God, I don't mean to make this up. I never believed in alien sense, but I saw something that was definitely spiraling like, and I was like, I'm not high. I don't smoke weed. I don't do drugs. The fuck was that?
What the fuck was that? Yeah.
You know, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago. And then the other one was, I used to throw movie nights in high school, and it was one of those, like, I never was like a party kid, but we would have friends over, and it was like it was like the most PG of parties ever. But I remember, like, I think my mom left to go get like pizza or something, and someone was just like being really quiet. They're like, shh, 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 at this fucking bullshit party of like, 10 to 11-year-olds. They're like, is anyone upstairs? And I'm like, no, my mom went to go get pizza. They're like, okay, listen, and all you hear is
Oh.
just like walking across upstairs in my old room, because my old room I was convinced was haunted as a kid, because like I remember I would like see things in the corner of my eyes or something, and then and it would always be in my toy chest in the corner of the room.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, ghost house.
Ghost house. We just like did an episode with my dad. My dad has like all these crazy ghost stories, but I don't know. I'm horrible at telling ghost stories.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any ghost stories per se. When we were at your dad's house one
Oh
time,
yeah, that was weird. That was totally
the
weird.
lights were all off in the whole house, and I went to walk into the kitchen, and I was fixing to turn the light on, and right before I could reach to turn the light on, it felt like someone rushed me from behind and came up to me really fast and then just stopped, and I could feel like the wind of someone's body, like full force running towards you and then just stopping, and it felt like it was right behind me.
Yeah.
And then I got chills talking about it. I just got freaked out and turned the light on.
I
It was
think
gone.
the scariest thing, because I have memory problems due to trauma, but I think the scariest thing that I can remember is in my little room. It's it's a 1-ish car garage originally before we renovated it into the space that it is. So I built a loft with a closet and a bathroom, and the loft is very claustrophobic, and you're up there on a queen size bed, but you only have like 8 inches of fucking headroom, and if you wiggle your toe, you can like turn the light on and off. And I remember it was because I have had problems with sleep paralysis before, and so I was about to go to sleep, but I could feel the paralysis coming on, and I could still I remember whenever I would have paralysis, I would be able to move an arm, and as a kid, I would move my arm to my chest first, and then I'd start to move it up, and I'd get to my eyeballs, and I'd start to open them, and that's how it was for like years as a kid with sleep paralysis. And like I would just like get to the point where I'd stop breathing and go and I'd pop out of the sleep paralysis, and that's how I'd have to do it. And I knew every time that as a kid, like I'd have to do that until my eyes opened, because that's how I'd be able to breathe again. It was so weird. But this time I was just laying in this bed, and it felt like something was like blanketing me and like kind of like taking like I don't know how to describe it. Like, have you ever seen those like if someone dies in a cartoon and the fucking the ghost comes out of the cartoon?
Yeah.
It was going into me, and it felt just like all my eyes around me were black because even if the lights are off, there's still some light. I just remember seeing everything starting to go black really quickly, and that feeling happened, and I could still I wasn't in sleep paralysis, so I knew it wasn't that. I was still awake, and I turned my light on by wiggling my foot, and then boom, it just all went away, and I thought I saw shit. I was
what the fuck?
I was like,
That's so weird.
terrifying.
what the hell just happened? And this was like a year ago too, so I don't.
Oh my god, yeah.
Most of my paranormal stuff was as a kid that I think that I can debunk, but that one, no.
Damn.
Not at all.
So if you could tour anywhere in the world, where do you want to go?
I'm going to Australia this winter.
That's number one.
That's
Let's do
so
it.
awesome.
And I'm very excited about it. I think actually I was talking to Rob from the Taxpayers today because he was interested in being out there, and we've been in cahoots for a while. And I already have a tour booked with Chris Burrows, and I've always wanted to go to Australia because I don't know where else a platypus is, and that's like my favorite animal. And my friend Eli out there, they were like, "Oh, if you come out here, I'll take you to a platypus farm." And I'm like,
That's a thing.
Done.
"Yeah."
That's
I'm so sorry. I
No,
clapped
you're
so
fine.
hard.
You're fine.
I was like, a platypus farm? They're like, yeah, it's super cool. They raise platypuses. And I'm like,
Done. Sold.
bet.
Yep.
So we're going to do that in their summer, first 2 weeks of January. But besides that, I've always wanted to go to Europe, and I'm going to try my best to do it next summer, but it really just depends on what's available.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. I'm jealous you get to go to
I
Australia.
want to go to Europe really bad.
Take lots of photos. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Really
live
sounds-
vicariously
yeah.
through you until one
Yes,
day that we
yes.
get there.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could time travel, when would you go?
Time travel. Okay, I have to think on this one because I've been getting into a lot of hip hop on this tour. But as a kid, I was always like, "Oh yeah, I wish I was in the '70s, Woodstock, and all these other bands." But in all reality, I'm kind of content because I see the gears grinding to what's going on today, and I'm kind of excited to see what comes. Also, things like Nintendo Switches. Could you imagine not having those on tour now?
Oh,
I
damn,
bought
yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's the best thing in the world. And I am so ready to do this 17-hour flight to Australia with 2 new Switch games and
Yep.
like some comic books.
Yep.
That's
yep.
awesome. That's a good way to waste some time.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, easily early 2000s because of all the candy.
The candy. What candy specifically?
Shit. What was that one in Canada that I ate that was like, oh, you should buy this because this is illegal in America. And it was just like, I did the thing that like I was like the thing that the way that I ate it was like why it became illegal, but it's like a little chocolate ball and there's like a toy inside.
Oh, like you
Oh,
could
I know what you're
choke on
talking
it
about.
and
Yeah,
die.
And then I
yeah.
did it on accident. I was
You
like,
choked?
no, like I put it in my mouth.
Oh.
I ate it whole.
Yeah.
There's a fucking
yeah.
candy in
Whoops.
there.
Whoops.
That's funny.
They're like, that's why it's you stupid Americans. That's why that's illegal there because y'all can't handle
'Cause
y'all
you'll eat the
can't
whole
handle
damn
candy. So I'm showing them,
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah,
It's
he's
funny that you
American,
ate
all
it
right.
The American way.
Yeah, America.
Okay, so what's the dumbest thing you've been arrested for? And it's totally okay that if you haven't been arrested.
Oh, I've been arrested 3 times.
Okay.
The dumbest thing I ever got
What's the
arrested
dumbest
for
thing?
was the last thing I got arrested for. And if it wasn't for my mom picking up at 2 a.m, I would be in federal prison.
Oh shit.
Because apparently stealing signs is a federal offense.
Oh,
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. What sign did
like
you
street
steal?
sign?
It said no train horn.
No train horn.
Yeah, so we had a whole plan. This is me and my buddy named Kyle. Of course, his name's fucking Kyle. He was my sidekick across like high school and early life, and they're actually doing really good now. I'm glad that they got their shit together. I'm so proud that so many of my friends are not doing bad. But anyways, me and Kyle hoodlums at like, we must have been 16 because I had a car, and it was my car that we were driving. But basically, we would pass by this fucking sign going out of Kingwood that said no train horn, and I think it was there because there were businesses really close to train tracks.
Oh yeah.
So like it's either like either the trains are not supposed to have a train horn or the cars aren't supposed to have a train horn because it like deters people. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I want a sign that says no train horn. And so I go out at like fucking 2 a.m. I look at this sign. I just pull over to the side of the road. I wiggle it. I pull it right out of the fucking ground. There was no problem there. And the second I pull it right out of the ground, whoop.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, motherfucker. And so I'm sitting there like having my anxiety attack. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. Like, I hate cops so much. And to this day, if I get pulled over, I think I have panic attacks because of police. But basically, Kyle's parents answered the phone, and they got there super quick. I think I called my mom like 13 times before she ever picked up. And yeah, if she wouldn't have picked up, I would be in federal prison for stealing a fucking sign.
God. I did not know that was that big of a thing.
Yeah. They were like, you know that you get federal time for this, and I'm like, bitch, I'm 16. Give me some slack.
Give me some, please.
So. Yeah, that was the stupidest thing. The other stupid thing was just like, I don't know. I was a kleptomaniac as a kid, and it wasn't actually until like 2 years ago that I or maybe 2.5 years ago that I was like, I should stop this, because I think I was 20 and I was in Walmart and I needed a very specific HDMI like splitter thing, and I was like, oh, I don't feel like spending $40 on this like $2 piece of equipment, which don't steal from Walmart, kids. They'll fucking catch you.
Oh my God, yeah, it's true.
So, but the other thing about Walmart is they don't pay for security, so they just call the cops. And I sat in this room waiting to get arrested for like the 3rd time at that point for theft. You know, like I'd always been arrested, and it was either like, oh, your mom came because you were too young, or if you did do something, you got community service. And I was like, okay, this is like strike number 4. Like if that cop comes, like, you know, what am I doing with my life? I just got my degree. I want to do this punk with the camera shit. Like, and I'm in here because of that. Because I'm like, oh, I didn't want to spend $40 on this piece of plastic that I really needed. And so I told myself, I'm like, all right, if the cop doesn't come, I'll never steal again. And sure enough, I sat there for like 35 minutes, and the guy was like, all right, I don't know if the cop's coming. Just go. Don't come back. And I'm like, done. And I've not stolen since. And I used to be real bad. I remember I was like 6 years old, and Willy Wonka had their new movie out, and they had this specialty fucking rack of donuts at like 6 or 7 years old. I just put it up my shirt, and I walked out of Kroger, and ever since then I'd steal candy bars and shit like that. It was bad. But now I don't steal anymore. And I was that experience of like realizing that I'm an adult now. I can't get away with it.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing when I was a kid, shoplifting a shit ton. Like, got caught a couple times. Like, I was just a kid and they let me go. Like, unfortunately, but yep, I got caught at least 2-3 times. Like,
yeah, Mama tried.
Fucking okay. So, 30-second shout out to all your favorite bands. Go.
Fuck. This is so hard because I love so many bands, but it really just depends on what's on my rotation. What have I been listening to recently that I like? Okay, Cardboard Homestead out of Buffalo. I want them to do more. I'll just do the bands that I wish got more exposure. That band, Crow Cavalier. What's a band that needs to fucking get out there more?
You got 10 seconds.
Fuck. Shit, I don't know. Wu-Tang Clan. That's all I got. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's okay.
Put
It's a
you
lot
under
of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Yeah. We sometimes like that'll be a good and fun one, and sometimes it just tanks because it's like, well, I don't know. There's so many friends. Like, there's so much shit.
Yeah, I'm the worst because like I listen and I'm affiliated with so many people, but at the same time it's like so saturated where it's like, what am I actually gonna sit down and listen to?
Yeah.
Chesky Ramos, that's who I should have said. That's the fucking GOAT right there.
It's okay, you just said it, so you got it anyway.
Yeah.
You got it in there.
Yeah,
there's no penalties for
Sad
lost
Fat Look
times.
and the other 2 albums coming out in this final trilogy, and the nicest human being in the world who has put me through so much support. That's the one. That's the GOAT. I love that kid to death.
Okay, so Punk with the Camera. Where do we find your stuff? Like, how do people find it? Like,
if you go down the road, you'll find a troll, and he'll tell you to follow this YouTube link, and then you fall down a spiraling pit of depression, and you watch like 300 videos, and that's how you get there.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, you're in a better mental space, but in reality, it's just on YouTube, and people watch it in their spare time.
Okay, what is the most important thing that you think people should hear?
You can do it, and that you matter. You know, I'm touring Punk with a Camera, and people are like, "Why are you touring Punk with a Camera? What are you gonna do? Hit play on a laptop like your Skrillex?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" But I'm also gonna tell every kid that watches my videos who gets inspired by them that you should try to do what you want to do, because no matter what, in the end game, if you're going, 5 steps or 1 step or 3 fucking miles, you can get there one of these days. So as long as you keep actively trying and you're not trying to dig yourself into a fucking pit or stay still, then do it. You can do it, and I believe in you because I know you believe in me. And look where I'm at. I'm playing hit and play on my second U.S. tour to like 50 kids in some city I've never been to before. What the fuck?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
For real. So we're going to leave links in the description so you guys can find Punk with Camera, all of the associated videos and bands and stuff. So you guys heard it. Thanks for doing this, man.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for hanging out.
Thanks for hitting us up. I was like, oh dang, I didn't even know you were in Tucson. I was like, what?
Yep, stuck stranded here. But we're planning our escape, damn it. Plus, yeah, so now we're going to go play a show.
Oh yeah, what time is it?
Yeah.
It's probably like 7, right?
Oh, we're
let's
getting
go.
there.
Let's
All
go
right.
play a show.
We'll go play some Pokemon.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you'd like to seek out or support any of the artists we've hosted today, we've attached links to this episode.
We're pretty darn hardworking artists ourselves, so if you'd like to show us some love and support, you can find us through our music, Robbers Roost.
Hey, check out our Patreon. It's probably the best way to support us. Also, check us out on social media because we plan to release these every Tuesday. Spill the beans, Ren.
Search for Robbers Roost, podcast or band on any platform. We got merch, tour dates, and all the fun stuff.
Ragged Bones from Broken Homes. This has been another episode with Mark.
And Renegade.
Stay tuned, folks.
Is that a musician joke?